Let's use Sumo SRL semantic parser on a few sentences from the book, The Hound of the Baskervilles, the third novel written by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
Mr. Sherlock Holmes, who was usually very late in the mornings, save upon those not infrequent occasions when he was up all night.
The PropBank frames component from the semantic parser is able to identify the word was as a predicate. Using the WordNet semantic dictionary, and the Sumo upper ontology, parser can determine that the word verb has no motion type with the WordNet's and set key you see on the screen. The FrameNet component augments the arg1 PropBank role tag with the entity label. It augments the arg2 tag with FrameNet label state. The Unity engine shows that the only physical object that has been identified by the semantic parser is Sherlock Holmes. Using named entities recognition component semantic parser identifies that this object has the Sumo upper ontology type, human. Let's read the next phrase.
Was seated at the breakfast table.
The word seated is identified as predicate. This predicate has FrameNet label, posture, and two roles. Sherlock Holmes is labeled with the role label, agent. Word table is labeled with the role label, location. This frame indicates that object, Sherlock Holmes, must be near object table. Let's read the next phrase.
I stood upon the hearth rug.
If we continue with our example and look at this phrase, then it is possible to see that pronoun I is identified as the object, Watson. This is the case when deep learning coreference resolution system was able to correctly determine which object in the scene the pronoun I points to. While standard algorithms can correctly resolve pronouns in a few sentences, this project requires the semantic parsing system to resolve pronominal coreference for the entire book. And again, semantic parser identifies verb stood as predicate with FrameNet label posture. This predicate has two roles, agent and location. The semantic parser infers that the object Watson should be near the object hearth rug. Let's continue reading.
and picked up the stick which our visitor had left behind him the night before.
Semantic parser identifies verb picked as predicate with sumo upper ontology class label equals in motion. Predicate label in motion. What does it mean? This means that there is local motion in the scene and that the center of mass of the object is not moving. In this example, we can see that the object with label stick is rotating. This is how we are currently rendering the in motion predicate. In addition, the in motion predicate means that it will be too difficult to render the motion using the Unity physics engine, and that it must be rendered using the animation subsystem.
Let's continue reading. It was a fine, thick piece of wood, bulbous-headed, of the sort which is known as a Penang lawyer.
In this sentence, the semantic parser determines that there are no new physical objects. Deep Learning Coreference Resolution Subsystem determines that pronoun it refers to the object stick. Let's continue reading. We'll skip a few sentences to show you another interesting result of semantic analysis.
Then with an expression of interest he laid down his cigarette, and carrying the cane to the window, he looked over it again with a convex lens.
In this example, the semantic parser identifies word carrying as predicate with sumo upper ontology label motion. In addition, semantic parser identifies that this predicate has FrameNet label bringing. Deep Learning Coreference Resolution Subsystem was able to correctly determine which object in the scene the pronoun he points to. We see that it is the object with label Sherlock Holmes. Semantic parser identifies that object Sherlock Holmes has FrameNet role agent, and the object stick has FrameNet role label theme. Semantic parser determines that it should instantiate the object that is triggered by the word window. The object window has FrameNet role label goal. The frame bringing triggers an action in the scene, and we see how object Sherlock Holmes move with object stick towards object window. Conclusion. It will be a long time before AI systems can create an entire movie or game from a fiction book. But it will come. It's unavoidable.